Welcome to the Worth the Wealth podcast, where we dive deep into what makes you truly wealthy and inspire you to believe that you are worth it. We explore it all, from taking control of your mental and physical health, navigating romantic and family relationships, to tearing down the walls around investing in the stock market, real estate, and beyond. Here you'll find inspiring stories of people just like you who stopped waiting for permission, bet on themselves, and are building a life where they don't just have to survive, they get to thrive. And we're going to teach you how to do the same. Together, we will open doors, overcome obstacles, challenge our limiting beliefs, and learn that a wealthy life is simple. You just have to learn how to work for it. The ways of wealth should not be gatekept, and it's time we talk about it. So let's jump in. Hello and welcome to Worth the Wealth. So this episode, I have no idea what we're going to be talking about this episode. I had a guest who was supposed to come and they did not, which is fine. Things happen. But it also means I have zero idea what we're going to talk about today. We had a subject picked out, and now that I am on my own, the world is our freaking oyster. But I woke up with the intention of recording, and so I was not going to let someone having a mishap stop me from doing that. But don't worry, that is not the only mishap that happened. I also cannot find the stand to my microphone, so I'm holding my microphone in my hand if you're not watching the video. And it took me about 30 minutes to get my setup to actually work. You might be able to hear my cat playing with a toy in the background. Today is just testing me to see if I'm going to do what I'm saying I'm going to do. And I'm here for it. I am. I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do, and it might be a little bit messy, but that is the whole point of this show. And in the first episode, if you haven't listened to that, go back. I'm alone again in that episode because I wanted to do an introduction of why I started the podcast in the first place, what inspired me to do it. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. But one thing that I guess we can talk about that's been on my mind a lot in the past couple of days is debt. And I want to chat a little bit about that today because it is on the forefront of my mind. I have not had the best relationship with money, and I wanted to start the podcast now, even though part of me wanted to wait, because I am very much so in the messy middle of life. I am not wealthy by any means in the terms of money. And I didn't want to wait until I had gotten all my debt paid off and my net worth was over $1 million and I felt perfect. Because if I did that, it would totally negate the purpose of what I want to speak to people about. That being said, debt is a big thing in my life that I'm trying to get out of my life, that I'm in the process of getting out of my life. I'm not trying to do anything. I am doing it. So it is something that has been a part of my entire first decade of being an adult. I was not really taught how to manage debt. Luckily for me, I am very, very blessed that I don't have student loan debt. But in my earlier 20s, I was definitely not good at managing my finances in terms of credit cards. And what I would do when I was like 22, 23 is I would make the excuse of like, oh, well, I have credit cards with points, so I'm going to use the credit card and just pay it off. It's a really good plan. Unfortunately, that plan doesn't work for most people, especially when you're not taught when you're younger how to. And this is not me bagging on my parents. My parents were really good. We didn't talk about finances too much, at least not that I can remember. And I won't lie, I grew up pretty well off. And we never were a family that super struggled. But that also meant that I wasn't privy to the information of finances and how we budgeted, if we budgeted at all. So when I was in my 20s, I think I said 22, 23 is when it really started, I would have the 5% cash back for gas. So in my mind, I was really, really smart because I was getting that 5% cash back, right? But the problem was I would spend my $25, $30 on a gas tank on the credit card, and that same $25, $30 that I spent on the gas tank, instead of paying that off weekly, daily, transactionally, whatever, I let it accumulate. And that accumulation got up to like $15,000 in credit card debt. And mind you, a lot of this I 100% believe is psychological. And I'm not blaming my mental state or using that as a crutch at the time for that, but I really do believe that it is a huge factor in our financial state is our mental state and how we actually, use our money. And that was not a good time in my life. So I racked up about 15-ish thousand dollars in debt. I was trying to pay it off. And if you're in credit card debt, which majority of America is, you understand how hard it is to pay off credit card debt. You 100% get it. It is so hard because you can watch, if you look at your credit card statements, you can watch that like so much of your payment is interest only. So much of it. And it's really disheartening because you really feel like you're one step forward, two steps back when you're trying to pay off debt, and even if you can pay over the minimums. So I get into all this debt. I'm trying to pay it down. I'm in this like cyclical, like pay it down, rack it right back up. Pay it down, rack it right back up. And when I moved to Montana, my parents had the opportunity to actually pay it off. Unfortunately for me, I had not learned my lesson. And I put like my real estate investment group payment on a card. I had like racked up another, I don't know, 8K-ish before that. And so I hadn't learned my lesson. And I got the easy way out. So I racked up a ton more debt. I don't know how. I cannot tell you. I could not tell you what I spent that money on. But I racked it back up. And then I got cards to have a 0% APR for 21 months balance transfer. So I wouldn't be getting charged interest, and I would quote unquote pay it off before the 21 months was up. Again, that is a lie you tell yourself. You're not going to do it. Some of you might. Some people might. And if you do, awesome. I really hope you do. But credit cards bank on the fact that you're not going to do that. They create those offers because majority of people are not actually going to pay it off within the 18 to 21 months that they're giving you the 0% interest rate. And they make the money off of that because majority of those companies, if you do not pay it off within that certain time frame, they're back charging you interest. So whatever is left, they're going to back charge you the interest. So it's either you pay it off before your incentive period, or you're paying them anyways. So they make so much money on that. And I know so many people are going to be like, they're weaponizing and well, I'm a victim and blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. Reality of the world we live in is this stuff happens. And part of what I want to teach in this podcast is regardless of if you think like, oh, they're weaponizing, oh, they shouldn't be able to do that, they're crooks, they're frauds, they're shiesty, whatever. If you want to think that, if you want to believe that, fine. I will tell you right now, it's not going to change. They do what they do, and you can either learn to play the game, or you can sit and continue to be a victim. But the purpose of everything here within Worth the Wealth is to teach you to stop being a victim to those types of thought processes. Because the banks are going to do what they can to make the money. Is it right? No. Does it sort of weaponize? A little bit. There are some borderline predatory acts that financial institutions do. However, let's talk about this. You may think it's predatory or they're weaponizing, but you're the one who borrowed money from them. No one asked you to go into debt. No one told you had to. And I get it. There's a lot in the world. Life is hard to afford. However, there are ways to get out of it. And I will beat this thought process into anyone's head who is listening to this. you have so much more power than you let on, and you can make any excuse on this planet. Any excuse. You can play the victim in so many different ways. If you have these thought processes that are coming up right now of them weaponizing but McKenna, everything is so expensive. How can I not have credit card debt? You can play that card, but I need you to change your mindset to, even if you are currently having a time in your life where you need to make ends meet with a card, you should at least be making I can speak English, an extremely conscious effort to get out of that situation. But I'm getting off topic here. This is why I can't do episodes alone, because I feel like I am off so many topics. And I don't know. Undiagnosed ADHD, I guess. So I get into all this debt, right? Parents pay it off. I don't learn my lesson. I'm back. Plus like $7,000. I am back in debt plus $7,000 more. And the thing about it is everything I paid for seemed justified. Everything I paid for seemed justified. I was still in that mindset of, oh, well, I have the promotion of 0% APR, which I will say I'm very proud of myself, because those cards, or that card, I guess there was two, because one of them didn't cover the total that I was transferring over. So I got one, and then I got another that had another balance that I transferred with 0 APR. So I did not do anything with those cards. I transferred the balance, whatever, over to them. I cut the cards up, never used them again. So those cards don't exist to me. I'm just paying those down. So I balance transferred over to those cards, and then I turned around and put my sub 2 payment, which if you don't know what that is, but also you're going to hear a lot about it throughout all episodes of this podcast, because it's a huge influence in my life. But I put that payment on a card because I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to do so much. I'm going to pay it off lickety split, no problem. Again, it's an excuse to overspend. It's an excuse to not be in control. Odds are you are not going to do what you say you're going to do in that moment. And the sooner you can consciously understand nearly nothing in your life is important enough to put $9,000 on a credit card. Nothing. You can do a lot to get that $9,000. Using a 27% APR credit card is not one of them. Especially if you're not financially responsible. Don't fucking do it. So I rack up back debt, and I look off to the side because I have a whiteboard right next to me with all of my debt. And I have been chiseling away at it for, I was gonna say for a long time, but I'm stopping myself. I have not been chiseling away at it for a long time. I have been watching it for a long time and continuing to justify what I'm doing for a long time. Up until about a month and a half ago, when I realized the gravity of how much I am hindered by credit debt. And this is such a hard topic to talk about. Such a hard topic to talk about. But it's so necessary because it's one that nearly all of us are dealing with. Nearly everyone in the United States, I don't know statistics outside the States, but nearly everybody in the United States has some kind of credit card debt. And most people in the United States have a significant amount of credit card debt or student loan debt on top of it. And it's a crisis. But the debt isn't the problem. The debt is the problem. Monetarily, the debt is the problem. Financially and economically, the debt is the problem. But the bigger problem is the thought process behind why we are in debt. We are in debt with student loans because we are told we have to get a degree in order to be something. We have this outdated thought that we have to go to college in order to be successful. We were taught by our parents and our grandparents that was the only way to get a good paying job was to go to college. And if we didn't, some of us were told we were worthless. I wasn't, but I know some of y'all were. until we were worthless. I didn't go to college. And now we're in this new age, and a better age, where we're realizing that we don't have to. And we don't need to spend tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars if we don't really want to. There's like specialized things that we definitely need. Like an obvious one is a doctor. You have to go to school to be that. But if you don't want to be that, then don't go get into debt for that. And so we listen to all of these outdated thoughts from people who have no idea what we want from our lives, who tell us that we need to like go to school to be successful. And most of us end up going to school for a fucking communication degree and never use it. Even when people go to specialized things, so many people are not using the degree that they went to school for. And I know so many people who are now in their late 20s, early 30s who are going back to school because now they figured out what they want to do. And I don't know who decided to tell fresh out of high school 18-year-olds, not even, like 16, 17-year-olds who don't even know jack shit. I don't know who decided to tell them that they needed to figure out what they wanted to do for the rest of their lives that young, spend tens of thousands of dollars of other people's money at astronomical amounts of interest with little to no way to pay it back. Like, it makes no sense to me. No sense. And then we don't teach our kids how to handle money. So we see credit cards and we don't know how credit cards work. We don't know how interest works. We're not taught any of this financial literacy. And then we expect our young adults and old adults to just manage perfectly. And it's not fair, but it's also your responsibility now to take care of it. And that's what I realized about a month and a half ago. I was self-reflecting and I was like, dang, I let my parents down in more ways than one. But the biggest way is they entrusted me by paying all of this off. And I not only kicked dirt in their face by getting back into what they paid off, but I got into more credit card debt. And all of it was good intentioned. I hesitate because I feel like that is a vile excuse. It was my little poor brain thought it was good intentioned. It wasn't, though. There's no good intention debt when it comes to like consumer debt. And I feel like all of this is kind of like it's kind of like a forward to like the actual topic, because we don't have an education on financial literacy. Like, we were not taught that in school. However, so many people who are listening right now are 20s and above. And as much as we want to say, oh my gosh, like school didn't teach us anything, you have Google, you have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have ChatGPT, you have so many resources. You can go onto YouTube and ask a how-to video and literally learn whatever the fuck you want. And you just don't. So I feel like the excuse of like, oh, school didn't teach us this is so outdated. You wouldn't have learned it anyways. You learned geometry. Do you remember it? I don't remember it. I don't remember half of this stuff I learned in high school, because when you're 14, 15, 16, you don't really give a shit. So we're going to call that for what it is. So now is the time to learn, which is another reason why I wanted to start the podcast in the first place. And the unfortunate fact of the matter that is hard for me to even say out loud is I cannot sit here and teach someone how not to get into debt. I guess I can, because I can give y'all like the how-tos of what I did that you shouldn't do, but I can't be sitting here saying like, don't do it because XYZ. I don't know. I just can't. It's hard for me because I sit here and I look at that whiteboard right next to me and I know that I'm sitting where I'm at. But the whole point of this is I am worth more than that number on the board. And the only way that my physical net worth, my actual, I guess it's not physical, my actual net worth will reflect my internal net worth is by doing things that increase that actual net worth. And about a month and a half ago, I finally realized that what I was doing wasn't, the justifications were not working. One thing that I have personally found that happens when you're not living your worth is you stop believing that you're worthy. And there are so many reasons why I have stopped believing in my worthiness, in my like financial worthiness, in my physical worthiness, in my relationship worthiness. Name a topic for this show that I'm going to be talking about, and there has been times, if not presently, that I have felt a decline in my belief of my worth of that thing. So looking at how quote unquote deep in the hole I am, I really started to believe that this was it. I was just going to consistently be in debt. There was no way out of it. Only way out of it is if and when my business takes off and I get a really big fee and I can just knock it out in one fell swoop. But that mindset put me in a someday mode. Someday this will happen. Someday this might happen. Other than that, I'm just gonna slowly pay off debt till I die. When you put yourself in that someday mode, someday will never come. It's like when you say you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't come because tomorrow's today when it happens. So it never comes. Your someday will never come. Never. And I had a conversation with someone and I said, yeah, it's not going anywhere anyway, so I'll just keep paying the minimum payment and keep living my life. But that reinforces how you think of yourself. How you treat yourself financially reflects how you feel about yourself. Why it is so important that you remain out of debt and you take control of your finances. You understand what your cost of living is and how to live below your means, is it directly correlates to how you feel about yourself. Everything that you do, whether it's financial, whether it's physical, if it's mental, if you're cleaning your house, if you're not cleaning your house, if you're getting into debt, if you're not getting into debt, if you're justifying poor decisions, it all reflects on how you feel about yourself and what you feel you are worth. And they're very hard conversations to have with yourself because you have to face the fact that you are living below what you are capable of. And these conversations are hard to have with others, but they're even harder to have with yourself. And I feel like every episode I'm going to say this so many times, this is why I'm doing it, but this is why I'm doing it. Is because as hard as these conversations are to have with yourself, you have to have them. Because so many people in the world are living in this survival mode, this fight or flight mode, where we're not thriving and we're not living and we're blaming whoever or whatever on our situations, when the reality is we have the ability individually by ourselves to be greater, to have all the monetary wealth we want. We have the ability to have the health we want. We have the ability to have the life that we want. But we allow ourselves to get into this victim mentality because that is what society has bred into us, that we have to unlearn it. But it starts with having a very, very difficult conversation with yourself based on where you're falling short. And when I told myself, well, the debt's not going anywhere anyways, I'm just going to keep paying the minimum payment, and someday, quote unquote, when the business takes off and someday when I get the big chunk of money, it'll be paid down a little bit more, and I'll just pay it all off then. But that is the same mentality that I've had my entire 20s of, well, I'm getting 5% cash back, so I'm just going to use it and pay it off with my paycheck. Your someday never comes. You are kicking a can down a road. You are avoiding some sort of mental and emotional block, and you are suffocating yourself financially, which affects every facet of your life, which again is why we talk about every aspect of what truly makes someone wealthy on this show, because you cannot have true actual wealth in this life without all facets. And it doesn't mean that everything has to be 100% aligned. Nothing will be. Nothing will ever be 100% aligned. Nothing will ever 100% be perfect. Your relationships could be off. You could have some health problems, but still be wealthy. You can have a $0 net worth and still be wealthy. I consider myself wealthy. I'm $22,000 in debt. I still consider myself wealthy. I am not where I want to be physically. I still consider myself wealthy. I don't have the best relationships with people currently. I still consider myself wealthy. But you have to be willing to face yourself in the mirror, whether actually facing yourself in the mirror or within a meditation, self-reflection, whatever. Face yourself in the mirror and be completely 100% without a doubt candid. You have to be so honest with yourself that you can sit on a podcast with a camera in front of your face and cry basically to yourself and whoever's going to listen to this and tell yourself that you have completely diminished your own self-worth because you have allowed yourself to believe that you are not worth wealth. It's a hard conversation to have, and I continuously have to have it with myself. Even when I'm no longer in this part of my life, and I'm in the next season, and I'm not in the negative in debt. And I'm past this point. I'm still going to have this continual conversation with myself of checking myself and remembering my worth. Like, relationships you have to cultivate, relationships you have to consistently work at. You have a relationship with money. Money is a relationship. And you have to constantly check in. But the problem is, when you know your boyfriend or girlfriend's mad at you, you know it because they're going to let you know. They're going to give you the cold shoulder. They're going to ignore you. They're going to be passive aggressive, whatever. The hard part with your relationship with money is money's not going to be passive aggressive. Money is just going to leave you. And it's hard because it's not a physical person who is here with you. And you have to be a lot more aware of where you are at and have check-ins with yourself. But the point is to be intentional with your money and with your finances and learn how to understand where you're at today and where you want to be and how to get there. But it is such an issue in today's world that we can't not talk about it, especially on a show called Worth the Wealth. First and foremost, people think wealth, they think of money. It's not just money, but that's the first thing people are going to think about. That's what we're conditioned to think of, is to be wealthy, you have to have money. And you do have to have money. And there are so many things that we can go into that, this could be a 12-hour episode of just talking about the different things that we're taught that are so wrong about money. And there's so many thought processes that you have to change in order to have a better relationship with money. And it's so individual. I can't even talk about it. My experience is not the experience that you had, and is not the experience of the person next to you in the car or next to you on the bus. No one's experiences are the same, because we all grew up in different socioeconomic backgrounds. Even those who grew up poor differently. Some of us who grew up rich, who had an affluent life growing up, they grew up rich different. The way that we generationally have been taught about money affects us nearly molecularly. And I will stand on that. So it's so hard to talk about because we all have different backgrounds. We were all taught so differently how to handle money or not handle money. Some of us were taught a lot. Some of us were taught a lot wrong. Some of us weren't talked about it. Like, it wasn't talked about at all. And it's a very hard thing to unlearn, but you're worth unlearning your bad money habits in order to create a better life for yourself. And one thing that keeps coming to mind as I've been talking this entire time, and the one thing I think we can all agree on, is that we were all taught that money is the root of all evil. And people with money are greedy. People with money are the bad guy. And we are just the have-nots, and the people with money are the haves. And there's no way to change it. The rich will keep getting richer, and we're just fucked. And if there's one thing I can leave you with from this entire episode, is to squash that belief right now. Commit now to squash the belief that the rich will just keep getting richer and you are destined to be poor. This is the life you have been sentenced to, and there's no changing it, because I promise you, I do not care where you grew up, what your family situation was, what your current situation is. You have the ability and you have the right to get out of that situation and to live a better life. And if I could beat into people's heads that money and wealth, financial wealth in this case, is not a zero-sum opportunity, it's not. Which is so weird because it is monetary and it's money, but money is not real. Money isn't real. They print more every day. So people make more every day, they print more every day. Money's not backed by anything. Money doesn't exist. Money is a mindset. So if you can get out of your head that the rich will continue to get richer, that you are destined to be poor, there's no stopping it, there's no changing it. It is the projection of your life. It is the trajectory of where you're going until you are in the grave. If you can get rid of that mindset, and if you can understand that you're worth more than debt, you're worth more than the status quo of what the hell is going on in this world, and you are worth more, you are worth having what you want. Once you can get that in your head, you're freaking golden. And it takes so long to recognize that. There's a book that I re-listen to on Spotify audiobooks every month because I need the constant reminder and the constant check of where I am at financially. And it's The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Secret of the Millionaire Mind? I've reread it, re-listened to it multiple times. I don't even know the title. But it's by T. Harv Eker. And he goes through like wealth files and changing your money blueprint, changing your thoughts behind money. And there's just zero reason why you should not believe and understand that you are worth more than your current situation, and that you can and will be successful if you allow yourself to be, and if you work on it. And one of the best things is when you start to fully believe that you are worth it and put in effort, you are blessed immensely. The universe loves to bless you with good things. You start to throw money at debt, money will come back to you. And I can't tell you how many times now in the past, even like past couple weeks, even in the past week, really, like I got my tax return and I told myself, I said, it's going to be hard and I don't want to do it. But I put myself in a situation where I'm in the debt I'm in. I owe people money. And if I did not owe people money, I'd have so much money in my bank account. But because I'm throwing as much money as I'm throwing at debt all the time, I don't have that extra money to do other things. So pay off the debt. So I got my tax return and immediately threw it to a card. And the card I threw it to, it took it down by half. It was half of that card. And that was so encouraging And when I threw it to the card, I set the intention of like, I am paying this card off. This will be the card I tackle first. This one will be completely paid off before I move to the next one. And when I tell y'all, I'm a server currently, but when I tell y'all, I made a couple, like $350, $400 less my tax return in tips the week that I did that. So I paid that much off of my card, half of the card off. That same week, I made that amount of money, except for like $400 in tips. Old McKenna, in debt McKenna, would think of that as, oh, the universe blessed me, so the money that I was going to spend, now I have it back. But, nay, that is not what's happened. What's happened is the universe has blessed me with the ability to pay the other half off. And it's those little changes that will change your life. Because I promise you one thing, it's really hard. It's really hard to see your money go to debt. When you are living paycheck to paycheck because you have all of this money going to debt. Whether you're making the minimum payment or you're trying to make others, you're doing a snowball, you're doing an avalanche method, whatever it is to pay off debt. It's hard, but you know what? It's also hard? Realizing that you're paying $800 a month in credit card payments that could be going to something better. But also know, one, you got yourself into this situation. You did it. Face it. Look yourself in the mirror. You are the reason you are in debt. Choices you have made are the reason you are where you are today. Your present is a testament of what you did in your past, but it is not indicative of what you're going to be in the future. You can change that in the present. It's tough. It is so tough to watch your bank account drain because you're proactively taking care of your debt. But there is always more money. There's always more money. You will get that money back. You will get that money back tenfold. You will save so much in interest, but that's beside the point. That's not something I want to talk about. I don't want to be like, you spend so much in interest. You do. You really do. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. But the point that I want to make is, like this card in particular, making that money back. If I could drop $1,400 onto a card and pay half of that card off, and then turn around in a week and make that in tips, what that means is after this week, when I get paid those tips and I pay the other half of that card off, that card's done. So let's say that was my last card to pay off. I pay that off. That card's done. Guess what? The next week, the universe is going to bless me with another $1,000. You see what I mean? It's going to work out. Like, you have to change your mindset from this lack and this, oh my gosh, money is leaking out, to I'm owning the choices that I made, good or bad. I'm owning them. They're owned. They are accepted. They are forgiven if I need to forgive myself for making bad choices. We have moved on. We are amending what needs to be amended. It's no longer who we are. We do have to fix what we broke in the past, but that does not mean it's who we are in the present. And we're moving forward. And when you can move forward as that person that is actively changing your finances, actively living like someone who has a good financial map, who knows where they want to be, who knows where they no longer want to be, that intention sets fire to where you're going. And I mean, for me personally, that mindset has changed everything, because instead of being where I was 7 years ago, where I was like, oh, I'll do better next time, I'm just going to ignore it. Oh, I'm just making the minimum payments. Oh, it's going to be here anyways. I'm fully setting the intention of, I fucked up. I do not deserve living this way. The only person who put me in the situation where I'm living this way is me. I own it. I forgive myself. I find the reasons why I decided this was a good idea. I fix those reasons why I thought this was a good idea. I deal with the emotions that I was bottling up, that I was expressing through retail therapy. I heal that part of me and I move on. This is not the life I want to live. I set the intention to move forward and to have a spot on the map where I want to be. 0% consumer debt. I'll have other debt. I'll have like real estate debt, right? Like the good debt, which we can talk about in another episode. I'll have good debt. But I refuse to have this 30% APR bank debt anymore. And that intention is set, and the universe will consistently bless you. And when you can get to the point where you have the mindset where you're not like, oh my gosh, so much money is leaving my account, and you can get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I am so blessed to have the opportunity to heal and to fix what I broke, which is where I'm at currently. I see it as like dropping $1,400 a year ago, like right off the bat, it wouldn't have happened. I would have sank it into my savings account or spent it and then been like, oh, I'm just not gonna deal with it because like I might need that $1,400 for a rainy day and I just don't know and I have to keep it and I'm a squirrel with my fucking acorn and I'm just gonna bury it. Bitch, you're gonna forget it. And then you're going to get into more debt and it's going to continue to snowball to pay off the damn card. And what happened when I set the intention of paying off the card and healing what's been broken, I turned around and got a huge paycheck that will completely heal that one wound, and I can move on to the next one. And your wealth is all dependent on fixing those little things. And that's why I say it's not about money. It's never about money. It's never about external relationships. It's never about anything. It's all about you. It's little things that you think, little things that you say to yourself, little thoughts that you have that have become who you are that you have to unlearn. I've had to unlearn how to be a person in debt. I've had to unlearn about being a person who's not reliable. I've had to unlearn so many things. But I promise you, if you have that hard conversation with yourself and look at yourself and say, why am I here? And how can I heal? Your finances will change. Your debt will drop. Once you start throwing just a little bit, you don't have to be throwing $1,400 a month, a week, or whatever onto cards. Just start. Life compounds so quickly. And I say this as someone who isn't at the finish line. I say this as someone who has been chiseling away at something I'm still chiseling away at, and I feel like I have an entire elephant to still eat. But the second you decide to change your mindset from, I have to get rid of all this money because I'm in debt, to, I made a decision. That decision put me in a poor place. I resolve now to change. I have changed. I am changed. My goal is to now, my pursuit is to now. I am currently moving towards being debt-free, moving towards having a better financial situation. And you start to put that into action, you will be blessed by doing that. You will have those things come to your life just like I did, just like I continue to do, and I will continue to do. I know it. I trust it. I need you to believe that. And if you don't believe that today, that is fine. You can work as long as you need to until you believe it. But there needs to be a time where you face yourself and you tell yourself until you are out of breath, blue in the face, tired of talking, that you are worth it, that you are worth getting out of debt, that you are worth not struggling paycheck to paycheck, paying off student loans, paying off credit card debt, paying off cars that you didn't need. All of these things that society and consumerism have told you need. You can only not have to pay so much of your money for things that are going to break, for things that don't matter, for things that in a couple years are obsolete and irrelevant. You're worth so much more than that. You're worth your peace. You're worth going to bed at night knowing you're not spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars in minimum payments while financial institutions are raking in the dough. You're worth knowing that it's not that the rich are just going to get richer and you're going to stay poor and you're just a peasant. You're worth so much more than that. And not only are you worth that, you deserve to have that. So face yourself. Face the problems. Heal what you need to heal. Put in some hard work and see the blessings that come from it. And there's going to be challenges. I've had really hard months. There's going to be challenges throughout this process, and they make you stronger. But everything in life is hard. Debt is hard. Managing money is hard. But you are worth so much more than having thousands and thousands of dollars of debt. I am worth more than thousands and thousands of dollars worth of debt. And I believe that, and I'm working so hard on that. We'll probably continue to talk about my debt payoff situation. I talk about it on my Instagram and continue to be louder about it. But you are worth more than that. And I want you to believe it. And the only person who can get you to believe it is you. So go believe it. But thank you for joining me today. And I am super grateful for all the support. And I hope that this helps somebody understand that you're not alone. You're so not alone. So many of us are in this situation. It's about getting out of the victim mindset and owning where you're at, moving forward, and you're worth more. But that is it for today. I'm glad I thought of something to talk about. I will see y'all next week.